Happy Friday. Thank you for joining me here tonight. We are having a little change of plans. I was originally planning on doing some free motion quilting with this feller right here, but there's a short in the cord. So that among the presser foot staying down, there are a couple things up with that machine right there. So I have to find a new place to fix it. Otherwise, there will be no free motion quilting for a while, and I will be sad. So instead, today we are working on the leader and ender quilt a little bit more, just scooching it along. We have a whole pile of pieces that we need to cut and trim into half square triangles. So thank you for joining me. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for the beginning crafter. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, and it's a time that we can relax and craft together. So again, you guys, a little change of plans. We are going to work on the leader and ender quilt. That fella is officially on the fritz for a little while, and I got to find myself a new sewing machine fix-it place. All right, let's just get going. So thank you guys for joining me. I am just bummed. I had everything set up for some free motion quilting, and then there was a short in the cord, and I've already gotten that replaced. So I think it's time for me to find a new sewing machine vendor, not vendor, but like a repair shop, so they can replace that and hopefully fix the presser foot at the same time, because that's the machine that the presser foot is kind of stuck down. Bummed. All right, anyway, we're going to work on the leader and ender quilt a little bit tonight. It always feels good to move this along, and we are getting a little backed up on our half square triangles. So we have been sewing those two pieces together, a 3-inch light colored piece and a 3-inch dark colored piece. And we've been kind of estimating our diagonal and then sewing a 1/4 inch on both sides, a 1/4 inch from where the diagonal would be. So that's going to get us 2 half square triangles, one like so, and another one on this side. And all we have to do is cut down the diagonal. So we're at that stage with this whole stack. It's going to make a zillion half square triangles. After we cut it, we need to press them all, which will take forever, and then we need to trim them all, which will take forever too. So I think this will feel good for me to like move along on this a little bit more, because this is getting out of hand. This is a big honkin' stack here. So a little bit different. Oh, Marie says, "Oh, so sorry to hear that about my machine, but the leader ender quilt is really neat too." That's nice to hear. It's always good to have a backup project. But man, I got the machine out. I cleaned it all up. So here we go. I got my extension table out. I cleaned this whole area, and then it would flicker on and off, and we could bend like the cord at the point where it plugs in, and you could kind of make it get on, but I don't know, it would flick on and off, and so that's not going to sustain any free motion quilting. And I feel like we may have had that problem before, but we got it in just right. I'm kind of remembering that now. So it just needs a replacement cord, most likely, but it also needs a look at that presser foot. So it might be time for a real trip to the fix-it place, and not just me trying to fix the presser foot issue, which I haven't for months and months and months. I know, Becky said I was so ready for quilting. Me too. I had the piece in front of me. I was kind of planning out like what we might do for quilting, and I was getting pretty excited about it, and then turned the machine on, and it was not turning on, and pretty bummed. At least I got my area cleaned, I suppose, but boo! And I'm not super happy with my sewing machine repair place, so I haven't been there in a long time. I've been doing my own little like cleanings and repairs lately and been getting better at that. But this is like a real repair that I don't especially want to figure out. So I gotta find a new place. So if anyone knows any in the Minneapolis area that they like, let me know. I've heard people like use some other places, but no one's been like given a raving review about anybody, so I don't know. Time to do some more research, I suppose. Oh, Jennifer's asking what we're working on next week. We are working on the embroidery of the month. So it's our herb bouquet. It's got the parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. I'm actually really excited about the thyme. I think that'll be really pretty. It's got that celery and the lime peel colors for that. It's funny, we used a lot of the fresh basil color, but we didn't put any basil in. I stuck to the song, parsley, the Scarborough Fair. We got parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme in there. I thought that was pretty cute. So we will be working on that next week, and I am excited. My mom's already started stitching it. She says that she thinks it's her favorite one, and I don't know, I'm liking it a lot too. Just something about the thyme I think is just really cute. So that will be next week. Some good old embroidery. That'll be fun. Oh, Catherine says I just got my bundle today. Yay! So we'll still send out bundles till the end of the month. So there's still time to get them. The bundles come with the pre-printed fabric and the floss. And then we also have like needles and hoops available. We also just have the pre-printed fabric now if you didn't want all the floss and stuff. And then both of those come with the PDF, and the PDF is available on its own too. Ugh, this stack's just gonna get big. I might only, this is the part of this process that just takes ages, so I might just get to the point where I might not even get these all pressed tonight. I want to get them at least all cut like what I'm doing now. But if we could get them cut and pressed, that would be a great next step. I'm gonna just scooch this up to here, start another pile. The trimming takes forever, so we have to trim it once we have them cut and pressed open, so it looks like a half square triangle. Then the trimming it down. We trim the edges so it ends up being 2.5 inches, so they end up as 2.5 inch squares. But that takes ages. But the nice thing is that once we have all these all set and ready again, we can use these as leaders and enders too, not just the two fabric pieces. So that lasted us a long time last time we did this, and we got a bunch more of these blocks out of it too. We've been doing like these 5 by 5, I think they're about 8 inches total, blocks here, or 10 inches I mean, and yeah, we were left with a few strips. Oh, I guess we sewed this together, but we have, like, this guy, he needs a few more on there, and so we got, like, another one started. But, yeah, so we were actually taking those half square triangles and sewing them into groups of 5, and then we took some time sewing those groups of 5 together. But those groups of 5, those were our leaders and enders for a while. We were just sewing it while we were working on other projects. I think, okay, Carlos says, my son will be moving from Colorado to Minnesota. they're looking near the Twin Cities in Wright County. So I'm horrible with my county geography. I've always been just bad. I mean, like, so all I can tell you is Wright County sounds familiar. So I do know of it, so that makes me think it's in the, Twin Cities proper, I suppose. I don't know that for sure, but usually if it sounds familiar, it's either near the Twin Cities or, like, near Duluth or something. One or the other. But yeah, I'm just, like, horrible. I have no idea. But yeah, gonna have to look for my... And then it's COVID time still too, but I suppose we're not vaccinated yet, but our state is getting there. We're supposed to have stuff by April in theory, so we're gonna keep checking. But I don't know, I'll be a little safer going out and finding a new sewing machine place. Those sewing machine places are all like small motor fix-it places. So typically they're like packed full of sewing machines and like vacuum cleaners typically. And it's just so funny, those two things together, but they both have to do with a motor and belt and oil and all that. So I think that's why they kind of pair those together. But it's always some fix-it dude that has like the worst customer service and just person interaction ability. So it's always just kind of a pain. But the place I was going to moved, and I don't know, they've been kind of weird ever since, so. And it's not like they weren't weird to begin with. So, I'm on the lookout, I guess. Oh man, Carla says only 10% of Maryland is vaccinated. We have a population of 6 million. Oh, you're getting the second Moderna tomorrow. Ooh, congrats. That's the one that John's parents got. They're waiting for their second one though still. Yep, so I call this quilt the magic quilt because, first of all, it's made out of recycled shirts, so it's basically made out of garbage, right? So we came up with fabric out of nowhere, so that's kind of magic. And I've been sewing it, like sewing just these little diagonals one by one while I'm working on other projects. And how that works is when I am sewing something, to get that piece off the machine, instead of like lifting the presser foot and having the long strings and snipping the strings, I'll just sew another little piece on. And that's pretty typical with quilters. Usually it's just like a piece like this, that they just do it over and over again. They just sew that little piece in, and then they only have a tiny little thread that they have to snip to take their piece, whatever their project is, off the machine. So instead of sewing onto a little piece like that, I just sewed a line on this project. So we're magically getting sewing done while we work on other projects with this project too. So that's magic. That's why it's called the magic quilt. The only problem is this moment when we have to actually process the things that we've made a little bit. So this cutting, pressing, and trimming, that's where it's less magic. Way less magic. Gosh, but we got these 2 giant stacks already, and we're going to get at least one more big stack like that from this. I have no idea how big this quilt is going to end up. I'm just going to keep making these little squares and sewing them together in like, you know, rows and columns of 5, so a group of 25 of these. And I got a whole pile more of clothing like this in bins, and I'm actually going to be going through them a little bit this weekend. So, I mean, I could have fabric for ages for this. So who knows, maybe we'll end up with a giant, like, recycled king-size quilt one of these days. A magic king quilt. That'd be pretty fun. I probably could stack a few of these on each other, but it's already kind of thick. I'll just keep going. I'm placing them all in the same direction because that'll help me just grab and do the same motion over and over again when we do the pressing. If I threw them all different ways, then I'd have to like line it up and move it around each time. So if I kind of plan beforehand for the next step, that's good. Same thing, like I try and have all these facing the same direction too, because then I can just grab it and cut, and then it'll end up in the same position when I put it over here too. Helping out future self a little bit. Okay, so Marie's, this is a good suggestion. Marie says that, I missed it, so Becky said that. So Marie says that, Alyssa, Becky suggested maybe taking it to wherever your mom gets hers fixed next time I visit. Or does she know anyone? So I'm not sure she has a place that she goes and gets it fixed. I'm not sure she's had to bring it in ever, really. I'll ask her and see if she knows a place in town, because that'd be a good idea, and then I can just stay there for a little while. A lot of times, at least here, you bring it in and it'll be like, okay, it'll be 4 weeks from now or something that we'll be done with it, and then they'll go back to like watching TV. So it's just like, okay, for real. So we'll see. Maybe she does have a suggestion and we can try out a place there. But I'll probably have to leave it there for a while. But we got other projects to do. We'll just have to do a whole big giant batch of free motion quilting someday, because my free motion quilting projects are racking up. I got a few quilts that are ready and waiting for their quilting. So it needs to happen. So I guess now is as good a time as any to get it fixed for real. But yeah, I'll ask her. I don't ever recall her saying, though, like, oh yeah, I had to bring it in to get fixed for something. So I'm not sure she's ever had to do that. So I'm kind of curious. And hers is a Bernina, so she might just bring it to like a Bernina dealer and they take care of it. I don't know. But that might be that's definitely another location to research a place. So I'll start with her, and then I'll look in the Twin Cities area and buy them in Wisconsin. I know they're out there. Those fix-it places. I'd love to find one that I can stick with for a while. Like just some awesome person that does this. That would be so cool. And I'd love if they even specialized in sewing machines and didn't do all that other stuff, like the vacuum cleaners and stuff. I just want them to do the sewing machines. All right, let's get pressing. I think I had this started to heat up. So I think I'm pressing towards the dark side, yes. So I'm going to keep these dark pieces up. You know what? I think we did this. Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now. We did this in a really fast way where we kind of laid a few down. I think we did like 6 on here. And that worked pretty quick. I would love to like make this as speedy as possible. Alright, I'm just going to scooch them over here. Alright, the iron's heating up. I think we can get batch number 1 out of here, though. So I'm going to just press and then flip. Actually, I'm just kind of setting the seam so the seam heats up, and then I'm going around again. It's the piece gets really hot when I press it, so if I go like around once to press the seam, then it's cooled by the time I've come back to it, which is nice. And I can, while you know, I'm pressing one, my fingers can prep the next one. So that's why I think this process is going to work a little faster. I know there's a whole pile of tricks for doing this, but this seems to work nice. I'm comfortable with this. Ugh, Naretta. Ugh, I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better. That does not sound nice. All right, so now I'm just gonna stack these up. So now these all have to be trimmed. These are all pretty wonky. I mean, I'm using just clothing fabric, so it's all different types of clothing. Some of it's stretchier than others, and I'm just like sewing real quick and random. I'm not like paying too close attention to the seam allowance or anything with these. So they're all different sizes and shapes. They're not very consistent. So I've been trimming them down to 2.5 inches. Yeah, so they're all just a hair bigger than 2.5 inches. Some a little bit bigger than others. So we trim them, and then they end up being perfectly square, not all like wonky. But that's not until we've pressed a zillion of them. So I'm going to just continue pressing tonight. We'll see how far we get. I suspect we'll only get to pressing. And that will be that, but we'll be one step closer. One step closer to having a whole pile more of these to sew together. So I do feel good about that. This is always that step that you gotta just take time to do. You guys, I'm cleaning our basement this weekend, which is gonna mean I'm gonna go through all of this old clothing that I've been saving for fabric like this, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm hoping to combine. I think I have a few little bins of fabric like this, clothing that I want to cut up. I have a few bins. I'm hoping to put all those bins together in one spot, like one big bin. But I'm kind of excited. Cleaning up stuff. Bins for everything. So I'm hoping I'll have a more organized fabric and craft grab and go sort of section in the basement soon. Oh yeah, you're right. I could probably get 3 more on here. I'll try 9. Marie's suggesting that I'll try 9 in the next batch. That's true. I could probably fit more on here. I'm not pressing the seam open. I'm only pressing it to one side, which is going to help. I'm going to use a block lock ruler to trim these. It's a nice tool for trimming half square triangles. It's this guy right here. It's got a ridge in it, so that kind of just butts up against that folded seam, because it has extra thickness here, because we have the seam, and then we have the fabric. So there's like 3 layers of fabric here and only 1 here, so this is taller on this side, so that little cutout here kind of is stopped by that fold. So it's really kind of nice. You can just like zoom up and down on it and just trim really easily. So that's the tool I'll be using later. People have always like raved about the block lock rulers, and I'm like, okay, I gotta find out what this is all about. So those are the block locks. Those will be fun to use. All right, I'm gonna try doing 9 here. Okay, so Tracy's asking, do I like the block lock better than the clearly perfect? Gosh, what are those called? Let me find one. Here's one. The clearly perfect slotted trimmer. So how these work is, instead of at this stage when I'm already pressed open like this and I'm trimming like all 4 sides, this one I just put before I press this open, I trim it. So I line up, there's certain lines on here, I align it with the seam allowance, and then I trim, and I can cut off the dog ears too. There's little slots. So ideally I like this better, like way better, because I only have to make 2 cuts instead of 4. So anytime I can reduce cutting, that's fabulous. However, I haven't been really using it on this project very much because this fabric is so wonky and different. Like, I mean, look at this one. This one's got a zillion different fabrics. They all stretch and feel different. Some are just, way more stretchy on the bias than others. So I find that with it perfectly trimmed like this, I still have to press it open, and at that point it was getting distorted again. So this wasn't really the best for this particular project. However, if you're using like quilting weight fabric and all the fabric's the same, and maybe I can do 4, maybe I can do 12 on here, that'd be cool. Then that would work great, the perfectly slotted trimmers. I mean, you're going to save tons of time. We actually did a time test once, and it did save lots of time. I want these kind of far enough apart. They're going to overlap a little bit. Oh well. This will be fun doing this many, though. So I love it, but it's just not the right tool for this particular project, I don't think. Alright, let's set these seams. So not all these are going to overlap a little bit when I do them as, like, open them up to the squares, and they're going to go off the side a little bit, but I think it's still going to work fine. It's going to be kind of fun. It does go faster when you get all these on here all at once. Like I said, I'd love to get through all 3 of these stacks. We're almost through the first stack, though, so that's promising as far as time goes. There we go. I mean, some of these seam allowances are pretty poorly done. That's why we need to trim. Oh, Amy, I'm going to have to look up everything you're saying there. Amy says, I use a block lock with bias edges, but if I do Magic 8 method of half square triangles, there's no bias, and slotted trimmer is best. Huh. Magic 8. Is that where you have a square and you sew around the outside of the square and then chop it in like half a bunch of ways? Is that the Magic 8 method? Something like that? Alright, look at all these. Oh, exactly. Colleen, you're just right. You don't have to have all these special tools, for sure. I mean, you don't have to have any of this stuff, and you can still make all of this successfully. Like anything quilting related, you can make successfully with the minimal tools, or no tools really, just scissors and thread and fabric. But all these little extra tools do kind of help out here and there. It can speed up the process or make it just a little bit more enjoyable, for sure. All right, so this seemed a little wobbly, so I'm just going to start a new stack. All right, let's get another 12 on here. That worked great. We'll go in the middle, I guess. Ugh, my nose gets a little fuzzy whenever I work on this project too. A lot of cutting, a lot of fuzzles going into the air, I think. All right. They look like little banners or little like buntings like this, don't they? Oops. There we are. Oh, that makes sense. Okay, Amy says, so here's the magic 8. You start with a square, and then you sew plus signs, right? So like on either side of, okay, wait, plus signs, I gotta think about this. 1, 2, and then you cut. Oh, okay, yeah, so you need 2 pieces of, that makes sense. So 2 pieces of fabric, that's a square, and then you cut, or you sew the plus signs in them, and then trim, and then you got all of them opening up all over. Okay, I think I get it. That'd be fun to try, for sure. Yeah, Amy, go ahead and post it in the group if you like. So you have to sew around the outside, and then plus signs, and then you cut on the diagonals, right? And like in between, in between, a whole lot of cuts, a whole lot of sewing. But yeah, so I've done something similar where you just take 2 squares together, sew around the outside, and then cut diagonals. And yes, the bias is in a different spot. So the way it stretches is different than how these stretch. So yeah, a different cutting technique. I could see why one would work better than another. Interesting. Okie doke. Another batch here. This is definitely faster. Right next to those. Ugh, fuzzles all over this one. I'm kind of doing both sides, and then we'll do a middle. Ugh, this is making me feel so much better doing this many all at once. I'm cranking through these piles way faster. Oh, so no outside. Oh yeah, okay. Yep, I'd love to see the video, Amy. No outside sewing. Oh, Lisa's asking what's wrong with my sewing machine. So yeah, you know, if you're coming in here and expecting to see some free motion quilting, I had it all set up ready to go. I was just about to take a photo for the thumbnail, and I turned on the machine. I turned on the switch, but the machine didn't go on. And I'm like, oh, God, what the heck? I had my extension table all set up, this whole area all cleaned out. I was planning the design in my head for a few minutes there, and then turn it on, doesn't turn on, and we wiggled the cord a bit, and there's a short in the cord. So it was like flickering on and off as we moved it, and we couldn't find a spot where it would stay on, so... So that's not going to work for free motion quilting, where you need the machine to stay on constantly. So I had to put all of it away and figure out something else to do. And this fella had some work to be done. So I need to find a new sewing machine place to bring it to, get a new cord, and have them also look at the feed dogs, because they are so loose now. Like, they were tight. They were, like, frozen tight, so they would never go down. And so they fixed that, but now they're so loose that any pressure, when they're up, any pressure on them will force them to go lower, and they won't pop back up. So you can't sew without anything grabbing on it to pull it forward. So I can't, all I can do is free motion quilt on it right now because of that, because you don't want the feed dogs for that. And now I can't even do that because it doesn't turn on. Yep, exactly, Becky. The feed dogs stuck. So those are those like teeth that pull the fabric. So those little like zigzaggy teeth underneath the presser foot. Those, if you put any pressure on them, they go underneath. They lower, and then there's nothing pulling the fabric anymore. Like, there's nothing like grabbing the fabric through the machine. So that's why I've been sewing on this 1920s Kenmore, or 1939, 38? I think 1938. That's why I've been sewing on this 1938 Kenmore machine instead of the 70s one, which was the one behind me, the one that I wanted to use tonight. That one, my normal go-to machine, which I haven't used in ages except for the free motion quilting. Probably in over a year. And now that don't work either. So guess that's putting the fire underneath me a little bit more to find a new place to get it fixed. So fine. Ugh. But I'm annoyed. I have all of that quilting to do. I got like 3 quilts and waiting for free motion quilting. I'm thinking it's probably still not cheaper to buy a new machine, especially these new machines these days. I mean, I could, if I really wanted to, I could probably free motion quilt on this 1930s machine, but I'd have to. The feed dogs don't lower on their own, so I'd have to unscrew them. I'd have to take them completely out, and I don't really want to deal with all that. And all my presser feet, like my darning foots for free motion quilting, those wouldn't fit on this machine either. I'd rather just have that. The 70s one, that's my mom's old sewing machine from college, so I'd love to keep that one working, and it's been working fabulously, except for since I got it brought in to get that feed dog thing unlocked, and then it is just it's just not been great since then. So time to give it bring it to the sewing machine hospital again, I guess. Except for I need to find one. And fixing it'll probably cost me at least $100. Like just a trip there would probably cost me like $90, which super sucks. Um, so I would expect to pay probably between $90 and $200 to fix it, which, ugh, that sounds just horrible. We'll have to see. Maybe it won't be that much. I'd like to hope it wouldn't be that much. Um, I don't need them to clean it or anything, so I guess that's what kind of is expensive if you take it into do a cleaning and oiling, and that's why I've kind of stopped doing that and learned how to do it myself, which has been awesome. I've learned a whole lot about all my machines from learning how to oil and clean it myself. But with the short and the electrical cord, I don't really want to deal with that. And I haven't been able to figure out the presser foot thing, so I suppose it's time. The money I saved from not bringing it in and doing the oiling and stuff myself, I guess, will make up for it if I need to rationalize it. I don't know. It sure is annoying, though. I don't like when things don't work. Ooh, you have an 80s Kenmore. Nice, Lisa. I bet you it's probably... Is it the same color? Like that kind of creamy whatever color? It's just so funny. They're all kind of like that from that realm. Alright. Man, we might... Oh, maybe 2 more rounds on this. We're getting there, though. This pressing is way more enjoyable than normally pressing is for me, so I'm enjoying this. It's nice just to line these all up. Maybe I like it because I feel like a trick is being had here by having all these on the thing at the same time, and I always kind of like a little magic trick. A little quilting magic trick. Someday maybe I'll get a new brand spanking new fancy machine that does all the neat fun stuff that machines do these days. But for now, these antique machines do the job just fine, and I feel like I'm honoring them by using them. A lot of these just end up as garbage. Like everything else, I suppose. Ugh, my nose is getting fuzzy. Alright, another round done. This is going to be so much trimming. This is like days worth of trimming, I feel like. It'll eventually get done. But look at all these guys that we can sew together. We're going to have tons that are just this black and this white together in the quilt. So that'll be kind of abrupt because we don't have anything like that yet. It's all kind of like this brown, and it's all just like a mixture of things, and now all of a sudden there's going to be a ton of this. I got to cut some new fabric. So in here is my bin of fabrics to cut up yet. So I think I've taken the buttons and stuff off of all of these. So this is just kind of fabric. They just need to be cut up into the squares. So I have, gosh, look how old this stuff is. This is all on deck. I don't have any like light colored fabric anymore, so that'll be good. I'll have to look for like a light colored shirts and stuff. This is maybe a light color because I'm contrasting, you know, with a light and a dark for all these, so then we can get those really neat kind of triangles that you can see. When I'm cleaning, I'll have to look and see what I can add to this. But this is tons. Yeah, this is like a whole quilt's worth of fabric right there, probably. So it's just kind of crazy how far this stuff goes. So we really could have a king-size quilt and then some with this. Maybe if I have a lot of extra, what would be fun is I could, one side of this quilt could be just like all these tiny triangles, half square triangles, and then the back could also be a quilt, the back, or like a pieced thing, versus just one big piece of fabric. And that could be like just squares, like it's just a plain old patchwork of these old shirts, which would be kind of nice because I think I probably have a lot more darker colors than lighter colors. So then the back could just be like a patchwork of the leftover dark colors. Ooh, I kind of like that idea. And that could be all done with this whole leader and ender situation too. Huh, I might have to think about that. I could get started on that right away too, I suppose. I like that idea. Then it's kind of like a reversible quilt. I feel like I'm slowing down a bit on this. I'm not doing where I press and then I work on the next one. I'm just kind of ho-humming along here. But I think we only have like one more batch here, so that's great. So this, even though this still took an hour, or like 40 minutes or so to do this, it's much faster than what I was expecting it to go. Come on. Yeah, because I think I'm out of this green, except for what's just in the basket. This like light-colored white with the green dots. So when I'm cleaning the basement tomorrow, I'll have to be on the hunt for some light-colored clothing bits that I can cut apart. Ugh, we're getting tons of these though. This is great. So many. All right, I think this is, well, is this going to be the last batch? I don't know. Looks can be deceiving on this stuff. You think you're at the bottom of the stack, but then there's a zillion more yet. Lenore's asking if I'm planning on hand tying this. And I'm not planning on doing that. I haven't really thought about quilting at all yet, but I do love a hand-tied quilt. And something like this, oh man, see, I do have a few extra, dang it. Something like this, I think hand-tying would just look really sweet with it and add even more texture. So I'm not against hand-tying it. And I haven't hand-tied anything in a little while, so that'd be kind of fun. Not like I'm anywhere near ready for that, I suppose. But I do, definitely not against that idea at all. Come on. It's fun to just sit with a quilt and hand tie it. I do like that. Especially if I do a patchwork, just a plain square patchwork on the back, which could be the front also. I could do the ties so they're like in the squares on the back, and on the front they wouldn't have to really line up with anything. It would just be like a bunch of little like kind of dots where the thread's going through. That'd be kind of fun. So it would still look like the pile of triangles, but then the other side would have like all these cute little tufty little ties. I do have, I don't know how this would look, but I do have a ton of black 100% wool yarn still that I have left over from my jean quilt that I tied. So I know that 100% wool works perfect for tying, because when you wash it, it goes into like a tiny little tight ball. The wool yarn, and that's just kind of what you want for a tied quilt, so it all holds together. Alright, a couple more, and then I think we'll call it. We'll just leave all of these ready for the next step, and I think that feels good. Ooh, just two here. and you guys, before I forget, tomorrow, so you might even be able to check tonight, like way later tonight. I gotta do some stuff on it yet, but tomorrow is the start of our studio, like warehouse and seconds studio sale, and that's where we're gonna have things like our remaining spools of thread of embroidery floss. We're also going to have some special deals on stuff. So here, let me show you guys some of that. And I showed you a little bit yesterday, but we have, I don't use these spools of floss anymore. This used to be primarily what we used all the time, and now since I've moved on to my penguin and fish skeins of floss, I don't use these anymore. So we have a whole pile of them in different levels of being used. So like this one still has tons and tons and tons of thread on, but it's much less than like the full cone of floss. So here, this is a skein of floss. This is a cone of floss. This particular, our skeins have 4 meters, but you know, a typical skein, like a DMC skein, has 8 meters. This has like 2,200 meters. So a lot more. So I mean, even like these smaller ones have a ton. So we have all different ones of these that will be going in the shop really soon here. And then we also have some really other fun bundles, and we're gonna even do things like, I'm gonna have this as a bundle, and it'll be like 40% off, you guys. So if you've been looking to get like the lion, alligator, or monkey, they are gonna be 40% off as a bundle starting tomorrow. And same with even like these popular kits here. We're gonna have these 4 as a bundle again for 40% off. So we're doing just a big warehouse sale. We're gonna have some other really fun extra things, like some empty cones. We're gonna have like an embroidery mystery box, and just a bunch of things. And then some things are seconds. So what a second means is it's just basically a perfectly good thing, but there might be like one thing wrong with it. So an example of that is we have some of these perfectly good red skeins of embroidery floss, but they've been mislabeled. So look, these say fresh basil on them. Clearly not fresh basil. So we have a whole pile of these, and it's perfectly good still. It's just mislabeled, so we have them for super duper discounted, so super cheap. So this is all happening tomorrow, and it's going to last for a whole week, our warehouse studio sale. So check your emails tomorrow, and I may be putting them up tonight yet. And you know, you will want to check it right when the email comes out, or even early tomorrow or late tonight, because things like this, we only have like 1 of them. So if you see a color that you like and you're like, ooh, finally it's a smaller amount than the big cone or something, we'll have them for way cheaper than buying a full cone. So that's tomorrow. All right, you guys, that is it for this week. I'm still pretty bummed that I didn't get to do the free motion quilting, but I am happy that we are way farther on these guys. Getting that step done is always nice. So here we have all of these now that we'll still have to trim them all out, which will take ages. But we're at that step, and now we're put in, and now we're ready for that. So I'm feeling good about that. Yeah, so check out that warehouse, that studio sale tomorrow, and you'll want to grab the floss for sure. And we have limited quantities of the other items as well. But the floss especially just has like 1 or 2 tops, mostly 1 of all of these different ones. So it's your chance to get some of this floss in bulk. So great, check that out at Penguin and Fish. I'll have an image right on the front that you can link from. That'll be the easiest way. And that'll be tomorrow. So have a fabulous weekend, you guys, and I will see you again on Monday. see you then. Good night.